Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in to our bi-weekly market updates. We are Twin Shores Financial Group with Timothy Nihill, Alex Krieger, and myself, Alex Kaminer. We're going to talk today about the traditional markets, the crypto markets, and then we're going to also talk a little bit today about the Inflation Act and how that's going to affect everybody. So please remember that everything you hear here is not financial advice, but instead just used for discussion and educational purposes. And if you like what you see here, please like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. So Tim, why don't you start us off with what we're seeing in the traditional markets right now?
Yeah, fantastic. A whole lot of nothing. A lot of red across the board for the past week and a half. We had a little bit of an uptick, in terms of market performance, equities, even a little bit bond rally, et cetera. But for the most part, everyone's it's still in selling mode, right? The Federal Reserve decided that they're going to hike rates another 75 basis points at the next meeting, which I believe is next month, which still is not going to do anything to curb inflation. And they still have a massive balance sheet. So it's kind of like an exercise in futility. Student loans are being forgiven. Who knows what the long-term effects with that's going to be, both from I would say an ethical position and from a financial position as well. There's a lot of questions on what's the point of it. And even if you get a $10,000 write-off, it doesn't mean the colleges aren't going to raise your tuition by 10 grand. So it just seems like a little bit more of the games are being played. And, sometimes it doesn't seem to make sense to anybody. So that's kind of that. I think what we've really been paying attention to has been the Inflation Reduction Act, which we're going to talk about in 2 seconds. It was very interesting to learn this week that, everyone knows Michael Burry, right? The Big Short, the movie, all that stuff, the big hedge fund manager that got in and made a lot of money for his clients in 2008 because he was ahead of a market crash. He scaled down his hedge fund to just one position now. I think that's very, very interesting. And I just continue to watch what a lot of the bigger firms are doing and what they're going after. And I think and we'll talk in a minute about this, it's commodities. It's commodities, and get defensive. And when I mean get defensive, it doesn't mean go to cash, because there is some very, very nasty things coming across the wires in regards to the US dollar. And we may be in big trouble with the currency in the United States. So, don't be surprised if you see a $50 watermelon. Not saying it is going to happen, but it's kind of, that's the inside message right now. And if you look at Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan and what he's saying and how he's positioned his bank, we're talking about something we haven't seen in over 100 years, ladies and gentlemen. So prepare for it. So let's get to that. We might as well talk about $50 watermelons with the Inflation Reduction Act. Alex, do you want to throw that slide up there so everyone can see it?
Sure. If we're going to have watermelons, the huge food shortage.
Oh, right. You're not allowed to have watermelons. That's right.
All right. Here, let me throw that up there. Fantastic.
Yeah, here it is. Okay. So let's break down the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Long story short, it's not going to lower inflation, just so you know. And if anyone's worried about the electric vehicle and transitioning off of fossil fuel initiative, probably going to happen. It will happen starting in 2035 to 2050. Is it going to be here or just across the world? Nobody knows. But anyone who comes from an energy background knows that electric is one of the most inefficient forms of energy you could possibly imagine. But, everyone who couldn't pass a science class in high school is now a climate expert, I guess. Anyways, so $800 billion is now going to the IRS to hire 87,000 new IRS agents. On top of that, almost $46 billion is now going to be spent in enforcement. So, people can interpret this news how they want. You can go either way on it. You could make the argument, hey, it'll raise revenue for the US government and the Internal Revenue System. Or people are saying it's just a shakedown because they're just going to audit everybody. So whatever stance you want to take, obviously each person can take. Our interpretation of it is there's no such thing as positive big government. Especially when it comes to middle class and comes to business owners, and especially entrepreneurs and small business owners. Word on the street is this one's for you. Digital assets are included in there. So obviously we all know that there can be some, Krieger, what do you want to say? Bad players out there, right?
Yeah.
So every industry has that. If you don't believe that, just Google how much money laundering your major banks do, and there you go. So anyways, they're gonna target people with cryptocurrencies. Obviously there still needs to be regulation and oversight there, but that's the crux of it, is the IRS is about to massively expand according to the Inflation Reduction Act. In terms of inflation, it's not going to do anything. So the CBO, which is the Congressional Budget Oversight, it's one of the committees that they say, oh, here's the proposal. They came out last week and said, yep, there's going to be no real impact to this thing to reduce inflation. So there you go. On top of that, they came out and said, not only will prices not go down anytime soon, right? Because there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program. 35% of Americans are now concerned financially. So take of it what you will. This just is getting better and better. In terms of energy, they are going to expand clean energy tax credits, oil and natural gas subsidies to go net carbon zero. Right? Did you guys see Elon Musk Twitter feed, Twitter post from 2 days ago or last night?
No, I don't.
Well, we all know Tesla. They're in the electrical car manufacturing business, right? They're really more of a technology company versus car manufacturer. But their CEO just came out and said, we are going to have to produce a tremendous amount of oil and natural gas in order to transition to electric vehicles. Make sense?
Right. That makes sense.
So it's kind of funny. I went to school on the Tesla cars with a friend of mine who's a big car person over the weekend. There are massive swings between the pros and cons of these things, but we'll see what happens, because there's going to need to be a massive investment in infrastructure to go green. And that's why it's not a 5-year thing. You're talking 2035 to 2050. Like, this is a 20-year transition. And if you read it from the oil and gas perspective, they are going to get $369 billion to extract oil and natural gas out of the ground. So, Krieger, we were talking about this, right? It's kind of like, hey, grab 5 generations of wealth and then run.
Yep.
It's kind of the curtain call.
Yeah.
Go.
I would agree.
Right. It's pretty interesting. So, we talked with our folks in the fields and all that jazz. This is going to be a really good deal. And if you notice, they're putting in a brand new 300-mile pipeline, I think, that's going to run through West Virginia. So it'll be the last hurrah. So again, if you're out there, these are opportunities, right? So it's investing in the future and where we're going to go, and then just taking a look at where the puck's going. Other stuff, there's more Obamacare expansion. the corporate minimum tax, no big deal. The other thing in our research that we found that people are talking about is, so Biden said no one earning under $400,000 will have their taxes go up. But in the analysis of it from the CBO, they said it will, all of this stuff is going to reduce the average after-tax income for every single American. Everybody. So no matter what you earn, if it's 0 to 1 million or 100 million, everybody's taxes is going up. So that's the Inflation Reduction Act in a nutshell. What do you guys think?
Well, aren't they also California by 2035 wants to have all the EV vehicles on the road to ban all gas cars
Right.
as well? And 15 other states are trying to follow suit. So that's even closer than what we're talking about.
Right.
It's in 10 years,
Right.
12.
Yep. So that's the thing. That's the push. It's going to be, push for this green energy in whatever form it is, carbon neutral, which a lot of the oil and natural gas companies already have figured out. And away we go.
Yeah, I mean, especially the IRS expansion and just that's going to be, I think, the biggest impact besides the energy, of course, the energy industry that's going to blow up very fast in the next few years. But overall, inflation's not going to be going down, and I don't see this act actually helping in any way in the next few months, inflation wise.
Right. More as what did Jerome Powell say, the Federal Reserve Bank chair? People will have to feel it and will have to deal with the problems of it.
Right.
Right. So we irresponsibly create this massive bubble and we're going to pop it. And, oh, by the way, you have to deal with it and accept it. Don't worry about us. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, it seems now, that's just coming out and everyone's kind of waking up to it. So we'll see how it plays out. But, from my perspective, it's a big opportunity if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what everyone's saying. If you know what you're doing, you most probably will get very rich in the next five years.
Remember what Chris said on our as good as it's webinar. The single worst thing that finance people never study is history. Right? People have gotten about the history books, but this one's actually in the books a couple times.
Yeah.
So
I just need people to wake up.
Take over.
Have them read the history books. It's all happened years ago.
Yeah. So that's a summary of it. Hire the right people, do your homework, and you can put yourself in a real good position for this.
Yeah. So how about we start talking about the crypto markets now? Sound good?
Sounds good to me. I would say overall, we're seeing a retrace back down maybe to mid-June. We're holding at key levels right now for BTC at 20 grand and Ether at 1500, maybe 1450 ish range. Macro, man, we're all, I guess, majority of people are waiting for the Ether 2.0 merger that happens in 15 days. So my guess is lowest range is probably like 1250 for Ether and maybe 17 for BTC, and then in the next 2 weeks, and then see a retrace back up towards the end of the quarter for next month.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have another. Oh, sorry, Tim. What'd you say?
I was just we're gonna give them the cheerleading squad. Go Ether.
Yeah.
do well.
We will have another market update right before the Ether merger. Another thing to remember, not about crypto, but is still tax planning season. So if you guys need help tax planning, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yep. Tax planning starts right after Labor Day. Tax offsets, retirement accounts, start preparing for it today.
Right. And one last thing that I think we should talk about is this food shortage that now a lot more people are talking about, that's probably going to be happening within the next 6 months. All because of this huge heat wave that's happening in China and how it's going to affect inflation more, that as well, just kind of like how the Ukraine-Russia war did.
It's not only that, you got the Danish farmers, the Netherlands, France, they're all, the government there is paying their farmers not to farm. And they're taking their land away. They're trying to take their land away to develop on it. So it's kind of, it seems to me, orchestrated.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
kind of weird.
Oh, that was the one thing with the Inflation Reduction Act we didn't talk about, eminent domain.
Oh, they do take, yeah, that is right.
It is written in there that they can come in if they want to run that pipeline or drill that well, they're going to come in and take land.
Whoa.
Whoa.
All right. Is that everything though?
Yeah, can we end this on a positive note?
Well, the positive note is if you know what you're doing and you hire the right people, you could be making a lot of money in the next 5 years.
Yeah,
I mean, that's stuff that we've been saying for the last 5-6 months. So we hope you're listening and just thinking about whatever we're talking about.
Right. Yep. Do your homework. And as always, there's massive opportunities in everything. Not guaranteed, but put yourself in a good position to be successful.
I would agree.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody for watching. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, visit our website, twinshoreswm.com.